Hello everyone. I am Captain X-Ray. Welcome to a flight channel. After we perform the exterior safety inspection, it is time to go inside the cockpit. In this video, we will perform the preliminary cockpit preparation and discuss about each item in detail. If you are ready, let's start. Preliminary cockpit preparation ensures that all the required checks are performed before applying electrical power, to avoid inadvertent operation of systems, and danger to the aircraft and personnel. Let's have a seat on the captain's side and start the procedure. Preliminary cockpit preparation procedure is a read and do procedure. In order to perform this procedure, we need to take the Quick Reference Handbook QRH and open the related page. But, don't worry. My cockpit camera setup is set according to the correct sequence of procedure written in the QRH. We will check each item in detail and set up the aircraft step by step. We will start the procedure from the pedestal. Engine master switches 1 and 2 should be in off position. They control the operation of the low pressure fuel shutoff valves. Engine mode selector should be in norm position. We will discuss the feature of this switch during engine start in detail. The next item is to check the weather radar. Radar switch is in off position. System switch activates the weather radar for display on the navigation display in any mode, except plan, whenever the switch is selected to on. Gain knob. The gain selector adjusts the sensitivity of the receiver. It provides automatic gain adjustment when positioned to calibrated, and manual adjustment up to max and down to minimum. Mostly we leave this knob in calibrated mode. Let's talk about the mode selector. The weather selection provides 180 degrees display of continuously updated weather radar information on the navigation display. The map selection operates the radar in ground mapping mode. Black color indicates water. Green color, ground, and amber color, cities and mountains. Weather turbulence. The weather turbulence selection provides 180 degrees display of turbulence and weather to 40 nautical miles, and weather only beyond 40 nautical miles. During our operations, we set the mode selector to weather turbulence mode. Let's check the landing gear lever. Landing gear lever should be in down position. On the ground, never, do not try to put the landing gear lever to up position. Let's have a look at the overhead panel. Both wiper selectors should be in off position. At this position, wipers are stowed out of view at the base of the window. Now it is time to energize our aircraft. First, we check that battery 1 and battery 2 push buttons are in off position. Then we check the voltages of the batteries. They should be above 25.5 volts minimum. If they are below this value, a charging cycle of about 20 minutes is required. As you see, our voltages are above 25.5. So we can set the push buttons of the battery 1 and battery 2 to on. Now, our aircraft received direct current electricity from the batteries. As you know, DC electricity is not sufficient to operate systems which are demanding long period of voltage. For this reason, we need an alternate current electricity source. The options are external ground power, APU, or the engine-driven generators. You see that there is a green avail light over the external push button. This means external ground power is connected to our aircraft and it is ready for use. By pushing the external power switch, it illuminates the blue on light, closes the external power line contactor, and the avail light goes off. The aircraft starts a self-test of systems. It will take about maximum 40 seconds. The other AC source is the APU. Before we start the APU, we have to perform a fire test. First, we check that APU fire push button switch is in and guarded. Then we have to see that APU agent light is off. Now we are ready to apply the fire test. Press and maintain the fire test push button. There is a continuous repetitive chime which warns the flight crew by sound. You see that APU fire push button lighted red, and squib light and discharge light is on. Both master warning lights are flashing and the ECAM is showing the procedure that the flight crew should apply in such a situation. When we push master warning light switch, continuous repetitive chime silences, but the ECAM indications stay until we release the APU fire test push button. Now we are ready to start the APU. First, we set APU master switch to on. In this way, APU on light illuminates blue, APU air inlet flap opens, APU fuel isolation valve opens, and APU fuel pump runs. Before selecting APU start push button switch to on, we have to wait at least 3 seconds. Let's monitor the start of APU from ECAM APU page. EGT increases, and starts to turn. The avail light illuminates when N is above 95%. This means APU bleed air and electrical power is available. The on light extinguishes, and after 10 seconds, the ECAM APU page disappears. As the flight crew, we should keep the external power on to reduce the APU load, especially in hot weather conditions. Now we can use the bleed air from the APU to give some fresh air to the passenger cabin. But be careful. Do not use APU bleed if the ground personnel confirms that a ground air unit is connected to the aircraft. From the bleed SD page, we can check that APU bleed valve is open, and it starts to supply air. Because the cross bleed valve is in auto position, it opens automatically, and APU bleed supplies air to both packs. On the air condition panel, we should not see any white light. This ensures that all packs and bleeds are in on position. As I mentioned, cross bleed selector is in auto position. Here, we can also adjust temperature of the supplied air with the zone temperature selectors. The range of these zone temperature selectors are 24 plus, minus 6 degrees. You can set to a temperature according to the demand. Cargo heat temperature selector is used as required. It controls the temperature in the aft cargo compartment. If you carry a cargo which requires a special temperature, or live animal, temperature adjustment has to be done. Let's adjust the cockpit lights. With the integral light rotary switch, we can adjust the intensity of the background lighting of the overhead panel. Next switches, ICE indicator, and standby compass light switch. By setting this switch to on, compass light, seat adjustment balls light, and ICE indicator light are illuminated. Use this light according to the daylight conditions. In the cockpit, a dome light is installed. The off position extinguishes both dome lights. The dim position reduces both dome lights to low intensity. The bright position increases both dome lights' intensity to high. Again, you can use this light according to the daylight conditions. The last switch on this panel is the annunciator light switch. The dim position reduces illumination of the annunciator lights. It is mostly used in night conditions. The bright position increases illumination of the annunciator lights. The test position causes all cockpit annunciator lights to illuminate, and all liquid crystal displays to indicate 8s. Under the FCU panel, there are 2 knobs. Through these knobs, you can adjust the background light of FCU and the intensity of the LCD. The floodlight knob controls the intensity of the forward instrument flood lighting. The next knob, the integral lighting knob, controls the intensity of the center instrument panel, and control pedestal integral lighting. There is also another floodlight knob, on the first officer side. Let's start both electronic flight bags. With the EFBs, you can reach all aircraft documents, operational flight plans, checklists, airport charts, and load sheets. You can also make performance calculations for takeoff and landing. Fslabs has added some extra features to the EFB. You can control all commands of ground service X via Connections menu. A CARS and CPDLC messages can also be seen via a CARS menu. Maintenance menu is set for Fslabs maintenance actions. And lastly, through the map menu, you can follow your aircraft during all the flight phase. Now it is time for FMGS pre-initialization. At the electrical power-up, the FMGSs and FCU run through various internal tests. Allow enough time for tests to complete. It is about 3 minutes. Do not start to press push buttons until the tests are over. If, please wait, message appears, do not press any MCDU key, until the message clears. Let's select FMGC from the menu. The first items that we have to check are engine and aircraft type. Our aircraft is an Airbus A320-200, and the engine type is CFM56-5 Bravo 4. Next, we have to check database validity. Correct AirAC cycle must be active. Let's go to the init page. Flight number and from to should be inserted at this page. For your information, insert flight number and from to only if the company flight plan is not received via ACARS. If the ACARS works properly, you can request your flight plan through init request. Let's insert from to and flight number manually. Today, we will depart from Echo Delta Delta Mike, Munich. Our destination airport is Echo Golf Lima Lima, London, Heathrow. Our flight number, it is actually our call sign, which is seen by the ATC, is Airbus 4 Charlie X-Ray. Airbus 4 Charlie X-Ray is an alphanumeric call sign. This means, the call sign has numbers and letters together. Let's continue with the ECAM. We have to push the recall push button. It should be minimum 3 seconds. This action recalls all the warnings that the flight crew cleared, or cancelled during the last flight. If there is no warning, we will see the normal information on the ECAM display. Now, we have to check some quantities via the system display. On door SD page, we check the pressure of the crew oxygen. It should be verified that the pressure is sufficient for the scheduled flight. This pressure quantity varies with the outside air temperature and cockpit temperature. The minimum quantity for up to 4 flight crew is about 950 psi. Let's go to the hydraulic page. We have to see that hydraulic reservoir fluid level is within normal range. The arrows should be within the rectangles. If the fluid level is outside of the normal range, contact maintenance to determine if service is required. Last item that we have to check from the SD pages is the engine oil quantity. The oil quantity should be at, or above 11 quarts plus estimated consumption, which is 0.3 quarts per an hour. The speed brake lever should be retracted and disarmed. The position of the flaps should be checked. We have to confirm from the upper ECAM display that the flaps position agrees with the handle position. As you see, the flaps are at 0 position. Brakes pressure indicator must have normal indications. The accumulator pressure indicator must be in the green band. If required, use the electric pump on yellow hydraulic system to recharge the brake accumulator. As you see, parking brake is set and the indications were normal. Now we can perform alternate braking system check. The yellow electric pump was in off position. Shocks are in place. We will now set the parking brake to off, and will apply pressure on the brake pedals. After brake applications, the accumulator brake pressure starts to drop. This brake pressure is the last chance of braking in case of loss of braking, or green hydraulic failure. After requesting hydraulic clearance from ground personnel, via yellow hydraulic electric pump, we can pressurize the alternate brake again. Now, accumulator pressure is increasing and comes within the green band. Let's check the hydraulic page and see that yellow pump is working and pressurizing the system. We can now set the yellow electric hydraulic pump to off. We do the alternate brake check for the first flight of the day. Before we go to exterior inspection, the parking brake must be on, to allow the flight crew to check brake wear indications. Emergency equipments are very important. In case of emergency situations, like fire in the cockpit, the equipments installed in the cockpit are used. They must be all in place, and any of these materials should not be missing. Life vests are stowed behind each crew seat. Portable fire extinguisher, axe, and gloves are in their place. The life vest for the observer seat is under the seat. Escape ropes are used to leave the cockpit from the window, in case of stuck cockpit entry door. Another portable fire extinguisher. Captain side escape rope. The tube that you see on the left side is the rain repellent. We have to check the pressure and quantity. The rain repellent system applies a chemical solution to the windshield, so that it is not wetted by the rain. The slipstream removes the water beads from the window to provide clear vision. Let's check rear and overhead circuit breakers panels. We have to be sure that all circuit breakers are set. Green CBs are monitored by the Electronic Centralized and Aircraft Monitoring (ECAM) system. The ECAM CB trip warning appears when a monitored circuit breaker is pulled or tripped for more than 1 minute. During the exterior walk-around, we have to see all navigation lights are working. For this reason, before we go to exterior walk-around, set the nav logo light to 1. So, we finished all the items for the preliminary cockpit preparation. In the next video, we will perform the exterior walk-around together and we'll check our aircraft condition from outside. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to follow my channel. If you liked the video, please leave a like. In this way more and more people can reach the videos. You can also write comments for any question. I will answer definitely. Until the next video, take care. Captain X-Ray. A flight channel.